The night is always honest with people who are quietly in love. Because when the world finally becomes silent and the distractions fade away, when nobody is around to see them act strong anymore, the truth they hide during the day slowly rises back to the surface again. And somewhere tonight, while you are trying to move on, trying to stay occupied, trying to convince yourself that certain feelings are only in your head, someone younger than you is thinking about you again. Not in a casual way or for a short moment, but in the kind of way that keeps coming back, no matter how much they try to push it away. They replay your voice inside their mind more than they will ever openly admit to anyone. They remember the smallest things about you that nobody else ever seems to notice. If you want the full truth about why someone younger keeps thinking about you every night, hit like right now. The way your energy shifts when you are tired, the way your silence feels heavier than your words, the strange calmness you carry, even when you are breaking emotionally inside. And what confuses them the most is that they never expected to feel this deeply connected to someone like you. Especially not someone who naturally sees through people so easily without even trying. Because this connection never started from surface-level attraction. And that is exactly why it keeps returning to their mind at night. There is something emotionally intense and almost overwhelming about being understood by someone who is emotionally mature. And younger souls often do not realize how starved they are for emotional safety until they meet a person who carries depth naturally without forcing it. Most people they met before were loud, performative, emotionally unstable, addicted to attention, or afraid of real emotional closeness. But then they met you, and something inside them became quiet for the first time in many years. Not because you were perfect, but because your presence felt emotionally real and grounded. And realness has become very rare in this world today. The strange part is, they never planned to fall into this kind of emotional attachment. In fact, a part of them resisted it strongly at the beginning. They may have even pulled away sometimes, acted distant, confusing, cold, or unavailable on purpose. But emotional distance does not always mean emotional absence in the heart. Sometimes it simply means the feelings became too strong to handle or control. Especially for someone younger who still does not fully understand their own emotional world yet. You need to understand something very important about human psychology here. People are not haunted by connections that feel easy and simple. They are haunted by connections that awaken something unfinished deep inside them. And you awaken something inside this person that they were not emotionally prepared for in any way. Maybe it was your emotional calmness that pulled them in so strongly. Maybe it was the quiet pain behind your eyes that you never fully explained to anyone. Maybe it was the strange mix of strength and sadness you carry at the same time without complaining. Or maybe it was the fact that around you they felt emotionally exposed without even trying. Comment Jung if you have ever had someone younger become emotionally attached to you like this. That feeling can be terrifying for them because younger people often confuse deep emotional intensity with temporary excitement that fades quickly. But what they feel for you is not the same. This is not the loud kind of attraction that disappears after a few weeks or months. This is the quiet kind, the deeper kind, the kind that slowly enters their subconscious until your presence starts appearing in ordinary moments of their daily life without permission. They think about you while listening to music late at night when everything becomes still and quiet. They think about you in crowded rooms when everyone around suddenly feels emotionally distant. They think about you when they are talking to someone attractive but still comparing that connection to what they felt with you. And sometimes they even feel frustrated with themselves because no matter how hard they try to move on, your energy keeps coming back into their mind again and again. Carl Jung once understood something very deep about human attachment and emotional bonds. People are drawn toward individuals who activate hidden parts of their unconscious mind over time. And sometimes age has very little to do with emotional gravity. A younger person can unexpectedly become emotionally consumed by someone older because that older person represents emotional grounding, wisdom, depth, safety, mystery, or healing that their inner world has been searching for without realizing it. But this is where things become emotionally complicated for them. The younger person may not even know how to express these emotions clearly. Their feelings may come out in indirect and inconsistent ways, like staring a little too long, or showing jealousy they try to hide, or disappearing and then returning suddenly without explanation, or silently watching your social media without interacting, or remembering small things you once said that you yourself forgot. Because what they feel for you exists deeper than language can easily explain. And every night when their defenses drop, the truth returns again without fail. There is also another reason this attachment becomes so strong over time. Type yes if you want me to reveal the hidden psychological reasons behind their nightly thoughts. You probably did not chase them emotionally the way others did before. You did not force yourself into their life or push too hard for attention. You did not beg for validation at any point. And strangely, emotional self-control creates fascination in people who are used to emotional chaos around them. Your restraint made them curious. Your silence made them think more. Your emotional depth made them feel safe and exposed at the same time. And that kind of exposure becomes addictive for someone who has spent most of their life hiding their emotions. What hurts the most is realizing that you affected them deeply without even trying. That is what keeps them awake at night. Because accidental emotional impact is often stronger than intentional seduction ever could be. You touched parts of them that nobody else reached so naturally. And now, even when they try to distract themselves with other people, conversations, temporary connections, work, or entertainment, something inside them keeps returning to you. It happens suddenly, without warning. A song reminds them of you. A random phrase reminds them of something you once said. A moment of loneliness brings your face into their mind without permission. And during those quiet night hours, when honesty becomes unavoidable, they finally admit something to themselves they rarely say out loud. No one has made me feel the way this person did in my life. That realization changes people deeply, especially younger souls who are still learning the difference between attraction and emotional connection. Because attraction excites the body for a short time, but emotional recognition touches the soul in a lasting way. And once someone experiences emotional recognition with you, ordinary connections start to feel incomplete afterward. This is why they think about you before sleeping every night. Not just because of infatuation, but because a part of their inner world became emotionally attached to your presence. And perhaps the most painful part is that they may never fully say it out loud. Younger people often fear emotional vulnerability more than loneliness itself. They fear rejection, embarrassment, and losing control of their emotions. So instead of speaking honestly, they stay inside emotional silence for a long time. But silence does not remove attachment. It deepens it. The human mind becomes more focused on what it cannot resolve, and unresolved emotions grow strongest at night when there are no distractions left. That is why they replay your conversations in their mind again and again. That is why they imagine telling you the truth without holding back. That is why they wonder if you feel the same connection too in some hidden way. And if you are reading this right now with a strange feeling in your chest, there is a reason for that. Part of you already sensed it before you could explain it logically. Intuition is often the subconscious, recognizing emotional energy before the mind can fully understand it. Sometimes you feel drawn to someone without knowing why. Sometimes you think of them at the exact moment they are thinking of you. Sometimes their emotional presence stays with you, even when they are not physically near. Human beings are far more connected beneath the surface than most people realize, especially when emotions are not spoken. And there is another truth that is rarely talked about openly. Younger people are often drawn toward older souls because older souls carry emotional wounds that quietly express wisdom, depth, and quiet strength that others can feel without words. Pain changes people in very deep ways over the years. Loneliness also changes people in a deep way. Emotional survival changes people permanently in many situations. And when someone younger comes across a person who has gone through heavy pain but still stayed emotionally kind, it impacts them strongly because kindness after suffering feels rare and almost sacred to them. Comment if this feels like someone younger is quietly fixated on you. Maybe they can sense how much you hide your emotions from the outside world. Maybe they notice the loneliness you never openly talk about. Maybe they recognize that behind your strength, there is a tiredness you carry in silence. And strangely, instead of pushing them away, it pulls them closer in ways that are not easy to explain. Not in a shallow way, but in a deeper recognition of the soul kind of way that feels real. That is why they cannot stop thinking about you at night when everything becomes quiet. Because your presence emotionally interrupted their normal way of thinking and feeling. You became meaningful in a world where most things feel temporary and surface level. And once someone meaningful enters the subconscious mind, forgetting them becomes almost impossible. Still, this kind of connection can also confuse you, because sometimes they seem emotionally distant right after moments of closeness. Sometimes their actions do not match their feelings at all, without any clear reason. Sometimes their silence feels heavy and painful for you, and this contradiction can make you question your own feelings at times. You may even wonder if you imagined the connection, but you did not. Emotionally immature people often pull away when feelings become too intense for them. Especially younger individuals who have not yet learned how to handle emotional depth without escaping from it. They fear vulnerability because vulnerability removes their sense of control, and control feels safe to them. But love was never meant to feel completely safe all the time. Real emotional connection shakes the ego in many ways. It forces people to face abandonment fears, insecurity, rejection fears, and feelings of not being enough. It brings hidden emotional needs that were buried for years up to the surface. That is why deep connections often create confusion instead of clarity in the beginning. And every night this younger person continues fighting an inner battle quietly within themselves. Part of them wants to forget you completely. Part of them cannot let go at all. Part of them wants emotional freedom again, and part of them secretly hopes you are also thinking about them in silent moments. And maybe the reason this feels so personal to you right now is because you have experienced emotional invisibility for a long time in your life. Maybe people admired you from the outside, but never truly understood your emotional depth or your inner struggles. Maybe you learned to hide your feelings because life taught you that vulnerability could become dangerous in certain situations. Maybe you became emotionally independent, not because you wanted to, but because disappointment forced you to build emotional walls. That kind of emotional loneliness changes a person quietly over time. It teaches you how to survive without reassurance from others. It teaches you how to stay calm while feeling pain inside. It teaches you how to carry emotional storms behind a composed face every single day. And strangely, the younger person thinking about you at night senses that hidden sadness inside you without needing words. That is why their attachment feels deeper than logic can easily explain. Because emotionally, they are not only drawn to your appearance or personality, they are drawn to your emotional energy and your strength. They are drawn to the parts of you that survived pain without becoming cold or cruel. They are drawn to the emotional intelligence you developed through struggle and life experience. Share this message so others can understand this kind of emotional pull from a younger soul. Comment awakened if you have felt this strange emotional connection with someone younger. They are drawn to the calm energy you carry after disappointment and hardship. They are drawn to the warmth you still give despite everything life has put you through over time. That kind of energy becomes unforgettable, especially in a generation that often feels emotionally tired from superficiality and fake connections. And maybe this younger person does not fully understand yet that what they are feeling is not weakness at all. It is awakening in their inner world. You awakened emotional depth inside them strongly. You made them face feelings they were avoiding for a long time. You made them realize that emotional intimacy is far more powerful than temporary excitement ever could be. And once someone reaches that realization, ordinary attraction stops satisfying them in the same way. That is why they keep returning to you in their thoughts at night, when the world is silent. Because your connection became emotionally symbolic to them. You now represent something deeper in their subconscious mind, like safety, meaning, emotional truth, vulnerability, healing, longing, stability, desire, and understanding all at once. And symbols become powerful in the mind because humans attach deep emotional meaning to them beyond logic. Sometimes they may stare at your photos longer than they should without realizing it. Sometimes they type messages and delete them again and again before sending. Sometimes they wonder if reaching out would change everything. And sometimes they simply lie awake missing someone they are not even sure they fully have. That kind of emotional ache is hard to escape once it begins. But there is something you should never do after hearing this. Do not reduce your self-worth by chasing emotional clarity from someone who is still emotionally confused. Even if they think about you every night, and even if their feelings are real, emotional truth still requires courage from them. And courage cannot be forced. People must become ready to face their own emotions honestly in their own time. Your role is not to save emotionally unavailable people from their inner struggles. Your role is to stay aligned with your own worth and emotional balance, because deep down you already understand something important about love. Real love does not require you to lose yourself. Real connection should not make you abandon your own emotional needs. The right connection moves toward honesty, not constant confusion. It moves toward clarity, not endless guessing. It moves toward openness, not hiding feelings forever. Still, some connections take time to grow, especially when one person is still learning emotional maturity. And maybe tonight, while you are hearing these words, that younger person is sitting in silence somewhere, replaying thoughts of you again. Wondering if you can sense what they feel. Wondering if your silence means distance or careful restraint. Wondering if fate brought you into their life for something deeper than temporary attraction. Because some people enter our lives not just to pass time, but to transform us emotionally in lasting ways. You may never fully realize how deeply you affected them just by being present, how much emotional healing your presence accidentally created, how many nights your memory became both comfort and pain for them at the same time, how often your existence pulled them out of emotional emptiness without you even knowing. And maybe that is the real reason they think about you at night without stopping. Not because you are perfect or because they are weak, but because something inside them finally felt understood when they met you. And human beings rarely forget the people who make them feel seen in that way. So if this message found you at the right moment, do not ignore that strange emotional feeling inside you. Some connections arrive quietly without labels, without timing, and without easy explanations, yet still leave permanent marks on the soul. Protect your heart, trust your intuition, and never underestimate the emotional impact your presence carries in this world. Because somewhere tonight, while the world is asleep, someone younger is still thinking about you. Type "seen" if this message feels stronger than you expected. They are still dealing with feelings they cannot fully explain. They are still carrying your energy through another silent, restless night. And maybe one day, when fear finally loses against emotional truth, they will stop hiding what their heart has been trying to express all along. Until then, let silence speak in its own way. And if this felt personal, if it touched something inside you that you cannot fully explain, then you already understand this journey more deeply than most people ever will. Stay close to this kind of understanding, because some emotional truths cannot be spoken loudly. They can only be felt slowly in silence, one realization at a time. And somewhere in the next experience, you may discover another hidden part of yourself, waiting to be understood more clearly. Like this video,